Hi guys, welcome to Creative Touch Art. I'm Abigail Jones and this is my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that a lot of artists tend to cover, but everybody kind of has their own take on it, so I figured I would share mine. So, finding your style and improving. The first step that I personally took, I used to just sketch a ton, and I didn't really see a whole lot of improvement. And so I decided I was going to figure out how other artists did it. So I first looked on Google, and then I eventually moved over to YouTube, and I began watching or finding artists that I really admired and that had skills that I wanted to learn. And I would watch their videos that most of them would post. They would post tutorials or time-lapse paintings. And I remember I would sit for hours just watching time-lapse paintings and trying to figure out how they did everything that they did. So the first step that I took was finding artists that I admired and figuring out how they did what they did. So I especially would look up artists that did similar things to what I did, but occasionally I would go outside of my comfort zone and try and learn new things as well, just to see if maybe it would help cross over to what I was doing specifically. So, for example, if I did mostly portraits, I would learn how to draw maybe plant life or animals, and that was actually surprisingly came over to what I was learning in portraiture, and really helped there too. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. The next thing I did is a part of that. I would try new things. So if you're really good at pencil sketching, but you've never done anything else, I would recommend maybe take up acrylic painting. You can get super cheap acrylic paints and canvases at your local Walmart or local grocery, like local art store. Typically acrylic paints aren't super expensive, and practice with those. Get used to using other mediums. Maybe take up sculpting and get used to using other mediums and get yourself outside of your comfort zone. It helps to take your brain outside of the box that you put it in when you do only one thing. If you do digital painting, maybe take yourself away from your digital painting and just try pencil sketching for a while. Take yourself outside of your comfort zone and teach yourself new things, and it'll help you when you get back into what you usually do, the stuff that you're good at or that you specifically love to do. Like for me, it's digital painting. You'll find that your skills that you've learned outside of digital painting really help to carry over into your digital painting and help you to improve. The third thing is practice. Paint. I know this sounds so boring and everybody hates it. I totally hate it, but paint the same thing over and over again if you need to, and practice sketching it. For example, I've always struggled with noses, and that's something that I have definitely told myself I need to sit down and I'm going to do noses for a couple of hours and practice sketching noses and use reference photos and get myself good at doing noses so that then I can move on to something else that I know I'm struggling with. A fourth step is one that I have heard a lot of artists say to do, and I haven't done as much as I probably should have, and that is read. Find books and read books. I personally live pretty far, actually. This sounds odd, but I live really far from any good libraries, and the nearest one has a very limited selection of books. So growing up, I didn't really have a lot of art books, but what I did is I would use Google and I'd read articles, and again, I'd find tutorials on YouTube, but when it came to reading materials, I would read articles on painting styles and techniques, and then I would find books that I could, but I didn't have a lot of them. But I've heard a lot of other artists mention that this was really helpful to them, is finding books that were available to them and using those to improve their skills. So I thought I would add that one in there, because what little exposure I did have to art books actually grew my skills quite a bit. So the last thing that I would mention, the fifth thing, is learn Okay, So every person has their own art style. And a lot of people are like, well, no, I don't have my own art style. I feel like my art looks like this artist or that artist, or I can see like specific artists that I like. My artwork tends to look a lot like theirs. And that is okay. It's actually encouraged a little bit to take on some level the look of another artist. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. What you want to do is you want to continue and grow the things you are interested in, because inevitably you're a different person than the artist that you admire. And over time, your art is going to take on its own look as you grow and as you improve and as you practice and try new things and read and study and continue to do what you love to do and draw the things that you love to draw. So that's it for today. That's the art tips that I've got for you, and I hope to see you again in another video. Have a nice day and keep being awesome.